Yo, what's good, people? How you doing? Happy Friday to you. Hope you're all well. Quirky, welcome in. Liv, welcome in. Heidi, welcome in. Hope the week is treating you well. Man, I'm ready for a weekend. How about you? Zev is here. What's up, dude? Been thinking of you all week. I haven't had the chance to send anything to our drive. This week, I've just been like, ah! Hope you're doing well over there. I need a play day, where like I do absolutely nothing but just make music and play. That's what I need right now. Oh yeah, I could feel it, Quirky. I could feel it. Well, you've been on a tear too, so. Yeah, Saf, what's up, man? Took you like a whole 5 minutes to get here or something, dude. How are you? Happy Friday. We're rocking a 20 BPM here. If you're interested. Javar is here. Oh no, warning. Trigger warning. The Arturia 5 collection, the V collection. They're all the way up to number 9 now, is on sale. And Javar may have fallen in. Green Hollow Music, welcome in. Doing all right. Apparently having a hard time speaking at the end of the week. But otherwise, I think I'm doing all right. Paul's tuning in from sunny Maryland. It is gorgeous here in Portland as well. Got V. Got V. Just no good speech. Black Friday arrived early. Oh man. If Black Friday is starting now in September, man. Wouldn't that be something though? Oh, I didn't even let people know, did I? Yo, Violet Fields, welcome in. How are you? For Arturia, anyway. Well, I mean, if Arturia is going to do it, then someone else is going to do it. Next thing you know, we have Black Friday like a month and a half before Thanksgiving. What do you do? What do you do? Ooh, Paul made a video with Arturia Juno 106 and Mellotron instruments. That sounds nice. That sounds nice. I'd like to hear that, see that. I was coming over here to see... who's dropped what? Public feedback. There it is. Oh yeah. Alright. Got Scruffy Rico. Kicking things off for us. Maybe even a new video, we shall see. Drop your links in the public feedback. If you're just stopping by and you're subbed and you realize that you haven't even checked to see what the free pack is this month, I'd be happy to hear that you actually get 2 packs this month, Mod Bits 1 and 2. Next week, I believe, is our, let me look at a calendar. Oh, right. We're going to shoot for Not next week, for the community challenge, listening party and everything, but the following Monday, so you guys have the weekend to work on your entries. This month's community challenge, you can create any kind of music you like. There's no hatred or bigotry. Not down with it. But whatever else you want to make, bring it on in. Everybody who participates gets another free sound pack. And a chance to be on the show and other good things. Happy Equinox. Oh, nice. Heidi's family is celebrating the harvest moon this year instead of US or Canadian Thanksgiving. Nice, nice. Gotta wait till Blippity Bloop Theater 5. Video's called Juno's Mellow March. Ooh, nice. Nice, looking forward to it, dude. All right, shall we start doing this? Let's do it. Bloop. Right. Bloop. I'm gonna turn off this noise over here. And away we go. A microtonal thingy. Ooh, yeah. Looking forward to that. All right, Scruff. Mr. Rich, here we go. What's up, Andy? Welcome in, sir. Hope you are well today. I think I might go full screen on this one. Just kind of see what he's got going on here. Yeah, Green Hollow, right? Bring my notepad over here. To be completed. That was very nice. Scruffy Rico, the main thing that I have for you on here, because I know everything is really going to start popping when mixdown is complete and you've mastered this thing. But the strings, I think, could use a little more expression. They felt just a little bit, I don't know, lackluster in the delivery. It felt just kind of like straight, right? And everything else has got like this really nice curve and shape to it and everything. So just maybe a little bit more shaping on the delivery, a little more expression on the strings, and perhaps even some staggering. Like if you've got a couple layers that are coming in at the exact same time, maybe stagger them by just a bit, right? So they kind of ease in, start commingling a little bit differently. Other than that, everything else is sounding really good. I think this thing is really going to be like deep and immersive. It feels good. It feels good. Hey, Roku's here. Scruffy, we were just talking about you. We were just listening to you. And I was just saying that everything is sounding great. Maybe a little bit more humanization, a little expression, a little staggering on the strings. The other stuff is sounding really good. It's going to sound really deep and immersive. Good stuff. Yeah, the voice is soothing, drums helping integrate back into myself after astral projecting. Lol. Nice, Heidi. I thought that the video backdrop was quite perfect for this. Like without that, my mind easily could have gone to like like an epic fantasy, like sweeping cinematic landscape or something. But this made you feel it a little bit differently. It was good. It's good stuff. As per your usual, sir. All right. Next up, we've got Wade Allen. Yeah, definitely keep it alive. Absolutely. Maddie808, welcome in. Dub3, welcome in. The Dog and Teep, welcome in. Thanks y'all for the follows. Taj as well. I see you sliding in earlier. Man, autocorrect is just wild right now. All right, is Wid in the house? Well, this was dropped early, so perhaps not, but we're going to jump into it. I'm digging this cover art right here. Is this like from a game? It reminds me of, what's the one? It doesn't have any dialogue or anything. It's just like you're running through these kind of twisted rooms, and there's these like kind of like dark carnival weird monsters. What the hell is that called? Someone help me out here. No, not evil things. I don't remember. Anyway, if you're here for feedback, go hit the Discord, drop your links in the public feedback, and we will get to you. This one's from Whit.
A volte mi diceva ma forza non ho imparato a non fidarmi di quella troia. Non è ma ci torno con il che sembra notte da me, che sembra giorno da non stavo solo per
Man, there's a lot of really good stuff in here. There's like some wild modulation and really neat change ups and really good stuff. We've got a couple of things here. First, in the intro, the super soft felt kind of flat, and it would be cool, I think, if you were to kind of like slowly modulate into a slightly more detuned, wide, and kind of polished kind of sound as it like morphs into the full mix there. I think that'd be kind of a cool move. I feel like there'd be a little bit more dimension to that whole moment. And then just in general, across the board for the mix, one thing that can help kind of bring a little bit more clarity in some of the moments where it kind of feels like it's a little bit muddy or a little bit dragging, just watch the low end cut. The rate at which the low end is being cut and the point, your cutoff point. It sounds like several of the sounds in the mix, you could actually bring up that low cut by a good like 20 hertz or more, and it's really not going to affect the sound itself in any negative way, and it would actually help the other sounds around it by being a bit more clear and nimble. And then when you have that additional space and clarity for each one of your sounds in the mix, you can start to really kind of appreciate all of these different maneuvers, because you're going to hear so much more detail and commingling of sounds, and you'll hear the revealing of sounds more dramatically and more clearly. So, and it's also just going to help redistribute more power to the rest of your song in general, because the speakers won't have to try to lift those low heavy frequencies constantly. But this is good. There's a lot of really good fresh stuff in here, and just some wild choices with the vocals. The other thing with the low end is on a couple of these sweeps, it kind of feels like maybe the resonance was left up just a little bit, even when you dip down low in frequency. So as you're writing your automation and you're moving your filters down, just make sure that you automate the resonance down when you get to those lowest frequencies, so you're not actually like putting a big gain boost on your subs, right, when other things are trying to be more present in the mix in that moment. Those are just a couple of things that you could do to kind of tighten up the whole thing. Let's see what anyone else is saying. Quirky's saying, nice, it's clean. Maybe the silent spot's a bit too much. Andy is agreeing. I would kind of like to hear it with the low end cleaned up just slightly, like a little bit tighter across the board, and then make a call on that, because I kind of like the creative decision making, and I'm totally fine with going to extremes like that, as long as it all feels like I'm getting to enjoy all of the little bits in the way that the producer wanted me to. And right now I feel like some of that's kind of clouded. So that's it though. The rest of it is awesome. A lot of really creative stuff in there, man. Saf, dude, let's do this. All right. Always one of my favorite parts, the name. Varlene and his week at the iron shop. Oh, this is great. This art. Dude, this is great. A couple things. Watch low end on a couple of the elements. It sounded like maybe you could come up a little bit more. There's like, I don't know, like three different kind of lower frequency sounds popping off in like this 20-second area. And then these rapid fire noise bits that you've got there, I'm kind of like imagining them shifting just slightly each time they're firing off. So then like at the end of the track, they've like moved themselves across the stereo field or something. I don't know. I think it'd be kind of fun to kind of track those over time, because this is another very kind of hypnotic, uh, psychedelic thing here. And also around like 240 and elsewhere where you start to get that mid to mid high kind of, um, what's the right word? Melange, the kind of consistent smearing of all of those frequencies together. I would encourage more volume automation, and it can be fairly random when you start it, and try to find, some nice happy accidents as things become a little bit more clear, and then that dips down and something else becomes a little bit more dominant, just to kind of create a couple of change opportunities, and back off those frequency buildups. That's it. This is good. This is another, dude, this is another mind-bending one. This one really felt like 90s club, yeah, dark indie electronic. Yeah, good stuff. Transported for sure, right? And the fact that your brother owns a 90s window machine to make 90s graphics is, yeah, that's classy right there. That's some commitment. Quirky saying his dad always played an older game with a similar sounding soundtrack. That's awesome. That's great. Speaking of quirky, dude is up. This one's called Consistent. Oh, shifting in position, like in their pan position. Like if they were to be put into like a spherical pan mode, right, or like a binaural pan mode, or maybe just um, playing with the cut off at the same time as the panning to kind of create a Dopplerish kind of effect. But anyway, each time they fire off in the mix, they just appear in a slightly different spot, right? So you could just have like a really slow running LFO or something like that, or automation curve on them for the entirety of the track where they're present. It'd be kind of a fun thing to track over time. It's like a kind of thing that like the Orb or Ministry or those guys would do these subtle little things where it's like, man, I've actually been following this little sound. It's the only thing that's moving like this in the entire track. But for like the past 5-6 minutes, I've been tracking this little thing, which is, yeah, little ear candy. All right, this one's called Consistent from Quirky. Some funk time. Yo, Nate. What's up? Good seeing you yesterday, homie. As always, hope you're doing well today. Bordello, welcome in. All right. Dude, quirky, huge level ups. Huge level ups. You're still having like really linear progression, but there are these like little spikes in a couple of areas, homie, where you can hear that there's like a greater understanding and like trust in making some of these changes, right? Like you're hearing the effects of it, and I can feel the difference in the way that you're producing around those things. So that's great. Really, really nice, smooth transition in the intro. At 55 seconds, like you could have this little modulation of the background vocal coming up a bit in that. 124, and you've got a couple of spots like this in the mix where there's some room to be doing something. Nothing is boring. Like there's not a point where stuff is too dragging or monotonous or anything, but there are spots where you can sprinkle in some ear candy, and you do a better job of that in the second half, I feel, than the first half. There are a couple of spots where you can toss in a little transition effect, like a little reversal or something like that, just because, right? Um, Dude, you're right. Your snare is awesome for this one. At 205, the strip snare, I think if you added just a tiny little bit of overdrive, no drive, like don't crank up the gain or the drive, probably actually take the gain down or the output down just a little bit to adjust for the loudness bump. But maybe target 4 or 5K just for the harmonics up on the edge there. Um, at 247, I think the transition can be just a touch more dynamic. It's all kind of, there wasn't a huge loss in loudness or presence in anything before that transition actually occurred. So maybe if there was some kind of a dip down, or maybe even like a detune or a pitch bend down, or the introduction of something new suddenly, and a cutout of what has been planned, but some kind of shift in what has been delivered up to this point, I think is kind of needed. It doesn't need to be like massive, but something. Um, and then reassess the transition effect after that. Like if you make a big change and it feels like, well, the transition's like feeling a little bit more dynamic now, but the transition effect feels weak, then layer a second transition effect in there, maybe a suck back, right? Because you've got that really nice kind of, if I remember correctly, it's like a I don't know, like an 808 symbol reversed or something. Anyway, 310. I felt like this transition was a little bit too restrained. Perhaps releasing one layer at a time, or maybe releasing one layer halfway through and putting a tremolo on it so it's got like a little wiggle as it comes up or something like that. Maybe it actually kind of flies out quickly or something. Something. I think something in that little bit just to kind of show us that you've got like bag of tricks down there, not just filter sweep. And then 358. I felt like this volume mod was a little sharp. I was typing when a couple of others happened, so kind of scanned back through the mix. I would say I would personally loosen them just slightly. If you'd rather have them sharp and tight, then it might be cool to do just like a little extra knob twist on one of them, right? Again, it's more like lean into it if you're going to do it. Excuse me, because it gives you more control, like or yeah, control, like a mastery over your tools and skill sets, right? Like from the listener's perspective. So if you are going to do something that's like a little bit sharper than the norm, then maybe lean into it and show us that you could do even more if you really wanted to, or something like that. Get a little bit more playful there. And that's it. Dude, these are all like nitpicky creative tweaks. You are getting to the point now where you're, um, like you may have noticed, I didn't even talk about EQ stuff. Not even touching that this week. Like this is good improvement on that front. Um, I'd bounce over to the other kind of creative embellishment side of things. Carve and shape your automations just a bit more. Um, you're getting into the spot now, man, where you're really developing your thing. Yeah. All right, let's see what people are saying here. Yeah, yeah. Glad you are happy with your snare on this one. It's always nice when you're pleased with your own sound design, right? Shadow Glitcher, I'm doing well. How are you? Thanks for coming in. Yeah, Violet Fields, right? It's cool. It's cool. It is like a, it's funk, but there is like a little twist that Quirky's putting into it. There's a fairly infectious vibe in his stuff. Yes, yes. It's true in general. The first half is like somehow undone compared with the other half. It's fine. I like the creative process is weird, right? My second year of making music to let you know. Okay, Shadow Glitcher, this is a good community to be in if you're kind of getting your footing and honing skills and whatnot. You've got a lot of legends in this community to uh, glean some guidance and insights and wisdom from. Quirky says, I'm just afraid of the point where I will stop improving. Well, improving means different things at different points in your journey. Like right now, you are very, very much focused on the technicalities of how to achieve the kind of overall sound you want, right? And that's improving, right? And there's also going to be some innovation in there. It's not just like you grok this now. It's not like it's just a matter of learning how to understand and then incorporate those things. There's more to it. And all of that is going to start seeping out when you're really kind of freed up from all of this stuff. It becomes more second nature. And you start to like do a lot of these little things as you're working. And that allows you to innovate creatively, like in how you're actually going to deliver your performance, not just how are you going to deliver the files. You know what I mean? There's like there are some shifts, and as you go like through your career, you're gonna like improving is just gonna mean a lot of different things to you. So man, I don't think it's gonna happen if you're this passionate about it now. You know, there's not many things that can really derail someone once they're this passionate. There's money stuff, there's family stuff, there's heartbreak. Um, yeah, life gets in the way sometimes, but I don't see you faltering in that respect. Bordello says adding or taking something away at least once every 2 to 4 bars can do a lot for a song. Yeah, yeah. If it's lacking or if it's like dragging in any way, if there's a lack of interest or change over time, absolutely kind of depends on what the content you're actually creating is. Green Hollow says, I think we all hit a plateau at certain points, but don't be discouraged. And plateaus, people complain about plateaus, and plateaus are nice because they allow you to catch your breath. Because if you're doing it right, you're so interested. You're so interested in what could be next. And it's kind of nice to like get to the point with something where you're like, okay, I've got it. Yeah. And now I'm in a groove. And now I've been in a groove with this thing for like a while. Like I don't feel like I'm putting forth that same kind of effort. So now I'm going to play. And that's what I always tell people about plateaus. I'm like, plateaus are for play. Like when you feel like you've plateaued in your like technical learning or something, then you need to play because you're not focused on the joy component of it. And when you re-engage with that, as we normally all feel, there's like this rush of inspiration and like, boom, we're off of our plateau and we're on to the next thing. But I think a lot of it just really comes from allowing ourselves to just, enjoy that moment, right? Roku says, I'm 21 years into this music thing. Quirky. It never gets boring, and you learn every day still. Quirky says, man, I'm a year in producing and already wanted to stop, but I'm so glad I didn't do that. Yeah, Andy says, life can shut up. I prefer making music. Boom. There's the quote of the day right there. Thank you, Andy. Life can shut up and try me at 22. Yeah. Thank you, Roku. Yeah, absolutely. You guys are awesome. Liv is saying, I like this conception of plateaus, reframes them as useful. No, they are useful. It's just like when you bump up against something in a mix and you're like, if you're being really, really honest with yourself, it's either something that can be solved or it's something that's going to be forced. Right. And if it's going to be forced, then you should just stop what you're about to do. If you have no idea what you're about to do, maybe you should just stop. But if you have like a plan or whatever, then go forth. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that. You get to these moments. Those are opportunities. Oh, Saf, fuck what life does to you. You're a flying eagle in your own terms, man. Green Hollow is up next. Oh man, I'm always excited to hear what you make. Let's do this. This art, man. All right, this one's called Don't. Green Hollow. I think we have all come to expect this. Honestly, your stuff hits every single time. Uh, it's really like, um, yeah. I still feel the same way. I mean, I remember expressing this to you quite some time ago. There are certain times where I'm not going to provide like a technical um, uh, like recommendation with certain things because I love the overall appeal and like the ethos that you've built. And so a couple of like embellishment ideas just to increase the like the feels aspect of this whole thing. You could have a ghost kick somewhere in here, like or a ghost track somewhere in here that can trigger some kind of ducking right, and you can place like a really nice deep atmospheric hit in there at that point. I think it could probably happen at a couple of different spots in this mix. There could even be like a really subtle, like filtered sub drop or something like right as it's about to happen or something. Um, Something like that would be super awesome, and I think it would like really elevate the entire thing. The perception of a project like this is it's transformed somehow when you have these really unexpected, fairly cinematic in in depth and breadth and in intention, right? Just kind of catches you off guard. um, People really take notice, and it will bring them back again and again and again. It makes them think a little bit differently about pretty much everything you do. There's a lot more tuning into small details, and like this is absolutely the kind of music that deserves that kind of attention. You know what I mean? So I would kind of play around with a couple of like kind of bigger, more adventurous kind of things like that. Like, is there a spot somewhere in here where I could um, just really surprise people with this thing that somehow makes all of it feel so much larger than life? 130. I was thinking maybe a little bit more transition support, or like a subtle suckback layered in there or something. Around 150, maybe like a small swell. Like there's just these very small embellishments that I would consider for more like emotional impact. Um, but everything regarding arrangement, your palette, of course, your sound design, your sound selection, all of it's great. All of it's great. 219, some call and response ear candy would feel awesome right here, especially if it was like mid range to high and stuff was moving in the stereo field as it was being delivered. That'd be priceless right here. 247, there's definitely some room for some filter play, whether it be kind of extreme and funky or whether it be just to add some subtle highlights. 258, I feel like before you piece out here, you could do something. You could have like just a little something, whether it's a quick stop or a little reversal that's unexpected. Dude, super solid. Super solid. I want to see what the chat's saying about this one. Hell yeah. Big props from Roku. First thing is coffee, then you boot up the PC, right? Nope, no espresso machine here. Just living the dream, that's all. A morning zombie. A morning zombie. I just learned this morning that there's such a thing as a toast zombie. My kid was teaching me about it. Roku's a morning zombie, though. Needs an hour to boot himself up. Very unstable walking. I can see it. I can see it. Green Hollow. Oh, nice. Okay, so I know it resonates when you can actually start to hear it in your mind as I'm typing. That's great. That's great. Dub 3. Saying 9 out of 10. Boom. Yeah. Yeah. All right, good stuff. Everybody loves it, as per usual. Violet Fields. Ooh, this is the microtonal stuff. How are you all so dang good at this? Not done with the vocals yet. This is called Tears of Fear, and I'm loving this art right here. This is awesome. Feels like there's a story here. Big love, Green Hollow. I want to go back and listen to 2 spots. Get out of my way, SoundCloud. All right, 39. All right, so this is fun, and it's cool. It's quirky. It's got a really nice character. I really want to know what you're intending to do with this. It sounds like something you want to, put into a licensing portfolio, or I feel it's definitely got some commercial value to it. 22 seconds. The keys, like as they are in the whole mix, it's fine because they're playing a very supporting role as they're being delivered around 22 seconds or so. They do feel just a little weak on the transient. Totally get that you don't want them being dominant in the mix. But maybe a little transient shaping on them wouldn't hurt. Or you could put on something like an overdrive, just to generate some harmonics without adding any kind of distortion or anything, and then dialing it down, right? And then you use your frequency target on your overdrive to decide how sharp and well defined or how kind of soft and muted you want the delivery to be. But regardless, you're going to have a little bit more definition on the sound, which might help that moment in the mix there. At 39 seconds, that transition, I think you can kind of embolden it in a couple of ways. There could be a very small change to the drums, like maybe there could be an extra kick drum beat there. There could be a small dip in volume as the transition, that noise riser is coming up. You could actually double down on the transition and put a second one in there that's maybe it's like a guitar slide up, like a right. It's a really fun, quirky song. You have a little bit of space there, or you could make that noise riser wiggle, right? You could put a tremolo on there and like maybe kind of move through like half, quarter, eighth, 16th triplet or something like that, like a whoosh. Touch more volume automation dynamics here at 55 seconds. Let's play it real quick. So you can start to hear a little bit more separation and isolation of the individual elements there. That's all. And you could even do like a little octave up on one of those synths towards the very end there. Add it like a little bright note to end things on. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Oh yeah, just wondering what you're producing your music for. Are you just producing music as albums, or are you putting stuff into licensing? Dremtize is here. What's up, homie? Happy Friday to you. How's the new gig treating you? You holding up okay? How's the routine? We've missed you. Yeah, this feels like it has good commercial value. It feels like if you were to put this into a royalty-free portfolio and package it in a few different ways, do a 10-second loop, like a 5 to 12-second intro or outro. It could easily be used as like a podcast or radio show or live stream theme. I could absolutely see it being used in marketing, advertising videos. Yeah, absolutely. It's good stuff. Keep bringing more stuff by. This was fun. All right. What is this? Chiwei? I'm I'm going to say Chiwe, and I hope I'm not messing that up. Saying, hi, friend. I'm from Chile, South America. This MP3 is the first time I've recorded my voice. I've made many beats over the years, but I decided to sing these days. I appreciate your work and dedication. It shows that you want to contribute to music. Oh, well, thank you, sir or madam. And here, listen. And this is Matty 808, I think. Yeah, I believe so. Let's check this out. Ya no queda nada.
Ya, ¿qué me vas a pedir? Nah, nah. Y tú la quieres abrir, no lo vas a conseguir, nada más que decir, ya, ¿qué me vas a pedir? Nah, nah. Y tú la quieres abrir, no lo vas a conseguir, ya no quiero nada, mucho menos brillar, ya solo se dará, y llegará, volverá, mirará y pensará, no quiero nada. Ya, ¿qué me vas a pedir? Nah, nah. Y tú la quieres abrir, no lo vas a conseguir, nada más que decir, ya, ¿qué me vas a pedir? Nah, nah. Y tú la quieres abrir, no lo vas a conseguir, para resumir, no quiero que venga a aludir, para oprimir, menos diluir, no podrá intervenir, te quedará aplaudir, y llegará, volverá, mirará y pensará.
Okay. So first foray into vocals for your first one. This is good. It's a good delivery. You've surrounded it with a good beat and selection of sounds. I think in the intro, that intro vocal can sit atop the mix a bit more. At 37 seconds, I would say find and or create some more separation between the main vocals and the mix. And this is so it too can sit on top better, but also just so there can be a definitive line between those two things, right? The vocal is the dominant presence, not the music, right? It's okay that the 808 is heavy because that's the style of the music, but the vocals must always be the priority, right? So there's a small like subset of little mental shifts that you'll do as you're mixing, right? Because you're not prioritizing your beat as much as you are your vocal performance, right? So just finding ways to create more separation at different points in the mix, and then you'll find really unique and clever ways to leverage that, right? You'll find some fun mixing maneuvers as you start to get more comfortable. At 50 seconds, you can kind of hear and feel that the 808 is dominant. I know that this hasn't been like fully mixed down and mastered, but you can feel that if this had all been expanded to like radio loudness, that this 808 would be kind of drowning the rest of the stuff. So here's what I suggest is go through and do a fresh volume mix on this thing and set the vocals above the 808 loudness wise. Don't let anything go above either of those two things in the mix, right? And make sure that you're going to give yourself enough headroom. So give yourself, like somewhere between like -10 and -6 dB headroom in all of this, so you can really kind of make this thing unfold later as you work. So as you're going through, start with your your most dominant element and then move from the low end up, keep the low end in the middle, and then start to move other things out to the side so you can keep the middle kind of protected for the vocals in the 808, which is another reason why you want more separation, right, for clarity's sake. And as you move stuff out to the side, just make sure that as things are moved out there, that you're removing just a bit more of the low end on those sounds so they can stay nice and nimble out there on the sides. And then also remember that saturation is your friend. This is probably not the time to go like heavy on the saturation, or at least not downward, or I mean compression, at least not downward compression, maybe a bit more on the upward compression side biased, just because you've got this kind of melodic auto-tune thing going, and you really want that to be this kind of uplifting thing in the mix, right? Something that's kind of being broadcast out, not really held down. So saturation is going to be something that can help you generate even more harmonics in your sound, and they'll be heard better in your mix. So you can get a lot of your loudness and power through maintaining proper low end cuts and using saturation. I think those two things combined with finding more separation between your vocals and the mix is going to make this even better. Let's see what the chat's saying here. Violet Fields, you are welcome for the feedback. You bet. Drum Ties, it's good to have you here, homie. Drum is saying the routine is weird, but I'm really good. That's great. Whew, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. 12-hour shifts, 3 days a week. Yeah, it does take some getting used to, man. Tremtize is saying there's a lot of clash in here. Yeah, this is the first time out with vocals. You know, this stuff, it's going to take a little bit. And there's really no getting around that. Abstricted One, welcome in. Happy Friday. But you'll get your feet, like you'll get your bearing, and you'll find some comfy spots, and you'll figure out your workflows. It's going to be an adjustment for you to move away from just making beats to including the vocal stuff. But definitely keep bringing stuff back. And the more feedback you get and the more you can, apply all that feedback, the better it'll all sound really quickly. So. You made it with the $7 mic. Well, boom. You use what you use, right? Sometimes the $7 mic makes a hit. Kwame Brown. What's up, sexy? How you doing? Happy Friday. Acute is in the house too. Welcome in, Acute. How you doing? Dub is here. This one's called No Release from Sapphire.
There's no release. My body's saying what my eyes won't see. I feel the pressure burning up in me. I need adventure. What's a door without a key? Give me my favorite things. Remind me how to live again.
This is great, dude. This is really good. Yeah, just a really, really solid vibe the entire way through. The sound design, the sound palette, all of it's great. Your modulation is super on point. There's a little bit of trim you can find in your EQ to tighten things up here and there. There's some low end management that could make things just slightly more nimble. You could automate up into a little more resonance as filters going up and a little less resonance as filters go down so things don't bloat a little bit too much. I also hear a couple of opportunities for you to toss in like a comb filter on top of a little modulation slide or a reveal, which would be really dope because it would add like this kind of metallic sheen to the whole thing. And kind of cherry pick a couple of moments. Um, I think that the kick itself can have just a little less low frequency being allowed through. And I would achieve this by either adjusting the decibel per octave curve or just rolling up the frequencies a bit. If you feel like you're right at that sweet spot, try adding a shelf and just nudging away, like maybe, I don't know, 10 hertz or so, 5 to 10 dB down. You're still going to have the gravity and the weight, but that small little bit of difference down there would mean a great deal to a great many little rapid fire moments. Those lowest frequencies, although they can seem, already wrangled, they're still present, and it does kind of hold back the minute details from eking out in those really quick moments. So, I think the biggest improvement on this, honestly, if I was going to say something about the mix of this thing in general, is the lay of the land. There's a couple of sounds that are higher in frequency, little ticky tacky kind of sounds and whatnot that are seeming a bit closer to center. And I think they could be spread out a little bit more. Um, and there's no vocals or anything like that it's competing with. It's more about, I think, the focus on the middle just being the super grimy bass, and like my ears kind of wanting a couple of those more metallic-y, shiny highlights on a couple of those synths, and I think those things would just sail on through to the listener if the little textures and stuff were moved a little bit more to the sides. That's it, really. Um, really solid, really flippin' solid. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got in the chat? Andremia says sub kicks out on sides a bit in spots. Saf is still talking about the $7 mic, lo-fi aesthetic. Yep. Acute, it's good to have you in here, homie. Drumtie says I'd push some of the textures to the sides in that intro to fill the whole spectrum. It's very center oriented right now, and maybe on the drop to a super subtle reverb tail or something to help that bass breathe a little. Oh yeah, or maybe even, you can saturate or modulate reverb tails to great effect in drum and bass. There's so much room for it immediately after the drop. You could play in there. I know, bring it back. I know, it's a good one, right? Shadow Glitcher says, I'm autistic, so it takes me a little bit longer to learn things. I'm willing to learn to get better at making music is another thing to know about me. Yeah, that's nice. And regardless of who you are, as long as you're like willing to take the stuff in, people are willing to like just be so generous with their honest feedback and creative wisdom. Dub, you're awesome. This is awesome. Intro is lacking. I'm still developing the Reese's. Yeah, I mean, if this is still a work in progress, I have no doubt it's going to get tighter and more polished. I want to hear more. Every Friday, homie. Every Friday. All right. Sunken Rock. You're up. This one's called I'm Drunk.
Quad X. Mm. All right, this is good. There's a few things. One of the biggest things is that there's a lot of low end in this. It's not like it's like really heavy sub bass or anything like that. It's more just like there's low end in the reverb and a lot of different instruments that doesn't need to be there, and it's kind of obfuscating the clarity and presence for other things in the mix. So one of the things that you can do is start taking a look at how you're actually applying reverb and time-based effects to things in your mix. Oftentimes, if you've got a really nice instrument like a guitar, you will probably want to send that guitar to a reverb channel, to an auxiliary channel where reverb is loaded, and then after that you can have an EQ which can take out the highest and lowest frequencies that are unneeded, maybe even scoop a little bit out of the middle depending upon what kind of effect you're going for, and then you bring that up into the mix at the desired level. And what that does is it allows the original source sound, the guitar, to be dominant and for it to be placed into a room rather than the room to be placed inside of the guitar, so to speak, where the entirety of the sound is being reverberated. So this way you just get a greater amount of control, and then the more things in your mix, where appropriate, that you're applying this kind of methodology to, that is just creating more space for all of your things to be heard clearly and be represented fairly. So that's one of the things that I would recommend is just low end wrangling in general, just kind of going through the mix and removing what you can where you can. Also, the beginning is abrupt, and this is probably just a work in progress thing, and maybe you have something already figured out for this, but it could be as simple as washing what is actually happening there in the intro, washing that all out in a reverb, just like 100% reverb, and like kind of slowly bringing it into focus, or maybe there's just like a simple reversal to kind of bring you into this moment of this kind of random noise. Something like that I think would be a nice way to get in there. 145, this low end ambience in the background is a really good example of something that could be changed up a little bit with the reverb. The guitar is another one. It's another good example. You could remove some of the low end in the reverb of the guitar. And then beyond this, and you're already doing this in a few spots, but those small reversals that you're doing, you could incorporate a couple more of those in a couple select areas, and some long form filter sweeps or volume automations would really help keep the interest kind of evolving over time. So you don't have these chunks of like 20 seconds at a time or whatever, where you're kind of wondering if there's going to be something that's going to change soon. Instead, you're already kind of participating during playback, just kind of following the changes that are occurring already. That's it, more movement. All right, let's see what people are talking about. Becky, you're here, and it's feedback day. You forgot it's Friday. Welcome in. How you doing? Yeah, Trump Tide's digging the reverb. Isn't everyone on the spectrum? Aren't we all on multiple spectrums? I mean, seriously. I mean, just look at me. And now look at all of you tuning in and watching me. We've got to all be on multiple spectrums, folks. Positron7, welcome in. Happy Friday. Good to have you here. Cool vocals, says Tremtias. Saffron says, I don't know what I'm doing either and why I'm doing, but all I know is, dude, cool effects. Let's process it and see what comes out. Shadow Glitcher 7 saying, I also make my music on my phone. I can't afford laptop right now, so I'm limited on things. Dude, good on you for doing it. I mean, you don't have the tools that you want, and you're learning and doing as much as you can with the tools that you have. Like, that's all that any of us can ever really do. And if you keep on keeping on and you keep growing with it, then eventually the money will come and you'll expand your tools and your knowledge, and you'll become a more and more badass ninja as you grow. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Baby Rage, welcome in. Trimtice is saying, dude, same. I just distort the hell out of my oscillators and call it a bass. That's awesome. Oh. Seth says, I apply too much reverb and modulation on my audio files. Oh. Indremia, yeah, the friends thing. Yeah, the friends thing, man. But you are 100% in the Ohm family. Trem says, careful with 100% reverbs. They're dangerous without EQ. So many things are dangerous without EQ, Trem ties. OTT solves it all. That's like a bumper sticker and a t-shirt right there. Becky, go ahead. Let's see here. We've got, we just finished this one. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, go for it. Absolutely. Do it. Live a little. It's Friday. Is Friday still a Friday in the middle of the woods when no one's looking, when you've forgotten that it's actually Friday? It's still Friday. There's still feedback. Roku says, I do smash reverb sometimes. Becky says, I'm so far off the spectrum. Gone. Roku. Becky is a whole new scale. More complex than Phrygian, more pleasing than... What's beyond the scale? I don't know. Different scale. The more balanced in chakras, the more full spectrum of all the colors we can be. Aww. Rage Baby, in Discord, hit public feedback. Dremia says, you may not push out pro quality music, but practice is practice. Well, and, you know, to be fair, especially if you're innovating your own sound, what is pro quality? The eye is... Wait, no, the beauty, the beauty, the eye, the beholder, something. Mobile DAWs are getting crazy, though. I know I'm an FL user, but actually FL Studio Mobile is pretty dope for a mobile DAW, says Tremtice. Roku says, yeah, Cubases as well. I have heard that it's pretty good, actually. Tremtice says, come on, Becky, give us some sugar. Heidi says, I love people. If you are into color therapy and color psychology, talk to Heidi. She's Purple Pros in the chat. Cute. I thought reverb was the problem solver. You know, reverb is like alcohol. If you give sounds enough of it, man, they'll start wreaking some havoc. I hold my beautiful eye. Yes, Becky. That's exactly what I was about to say. Trying to say. Modulators modulating eyeballs. I am Imaginate in the chat. What's up, Danny? Everybody follow I am Imaginate. He's got new shit coming. New stuff's about to drop. We're going to have Danny on the show again. He's going to come in. He's going to tell us about what's about to happen. Or what has just happened. And then you guys will be like, ooh, this sounds amazing. And then we'll have a great time together. Imaginate says, I believe pro quality includes an element of real life experiences. Boom. Don't make your sounds drunk. I mean, unless it's been a long week and it's Friday and they need to blow off a little steam. I mean, what if it's steam? What if it's a steam sample? Come on, what's the worst that can happen? I'll keep that. Reverb is like alcohol. Oh, Becky, I've been doing lots of zero decay reverb lately, she says. Yeah. How many things in your reverb do you ever consider actively modulating while it's occurring? Tipsy verb. Bordello, I believe you're up next. Bordello 64. Sorry, my bad. Let's go check out Little Bit of Love. Is this self-released? I'm assuming that it is safe to play here. Please tell me that this is true. Trench it in reverb, put it in reverse, and then stretch it. Right? What could possibly go wrong? This Cult Records. So is this safe for me to play, homie? Yeah, self-produced. Okay, cool. And then put in sampler and make an instrument out of it. That's right. You guys get it. You know what's up. All right, this one's called Little Bit of Love.
of love, just a little bit of love. Love, just a little bit of love, just a little bit of love, just a little bit of love. Just a little bit of love, just a little bit of love. Love, just a little bit of love, just a little bit of love, just a little bit of love.
I'm just going to say this out loud because no one else is going to say this. There's some Beatles in there. Like, there's some fun in this thing on a few different levels. Bordello 64. This is fun. This is good. Intro. You can kind of feel it. There's like this pressure almost on the left channel because it's kind of silent. It could use just a little bit of bleed from the right in that intro there. I'm fine with having the space mostly empty, but like vacant just feels a little weird. And the slapback, like the crosstalk from the right to the left, and the delay on those guitars and stuff throughout the mix is just perfect. So it feels extra lacking, like once you get into the mix, that was there in the beginning. So that's my one gripe overall about like the delivery of the whole thing would just be like that one moment with that left channel. And then the other thing is really just the low end is a little thick overall, especially in a few places. Like, it's fine for the live vibe, which this one definitely has a lot of live vibe to it. But when there's also some volume stuff in there as well, it starts to get a little bit, a little thick, right? Not just the low end, but like the overall presence of things because of frequency buildup. So just run through these really quick. The wah guitar can be moved to the left just a little bit to give more space for the other guitar. And I think it could probably come down a decibel or two if it still feels a little bit competing there. But that main guitar can also have just a little bit of the low end removed, just a touch of the lowest frequencies removed, and then that would actually make more room for the wah guitar because the wah has got a lot more of that kind of low frequency movement, which is what kind of gives it that funk appeal and makes it more of a rhythmic element. Rhythm guitar can be moved further to the right and be brought down just a few. It's competing a touch with the vocals. But yeah, just in general, a little bit of low end control, a little bit of presence in the left channel in that intro bit. This is fun. This is really good. I can really imagine just how fun this song is live, for sure. And you had people bopping in the chat. We could see them. Bassist is a huge Beatles fan. I can hear it. Yeah, it does. It feels live, feels like a performance mix-wise. Yeah, it does. We record drums and bass live and then overdub guitar and vocals. Well, it's nice that you can get that energy out of your bassist and your guitarist without the guitars and vocals being played live with them. It's good. It's good. I'm happy to provide the feedback. I hope it vibes with you. Very well. Track 2, fantastic performance, good players, good mix. I could pick things apart, but the delivery is just great. Yeah, I'm feeling the same thing. Yeah. Sometimes when something is so fun, it kind of feels like a wet blanket moment. I'm like, oh man, I got to get feedback on this now. Like I was just having fun with this thing. Seriously though, this is good. Very much in the moment from beginning to end. Definitely jamming. Shadow Glitcher. Let's see what you're up to. Okay, so you've just started producing, and you're doing it on a phone. And this one is called Complete the Risk. Let's see what this one's all about. Oh. Oh. All right. This is good. How many tracks, I'm curious, knowing that you're just starting out, you're producing on a phone and whatnot, how many tracks have you made so far? This is a fun game vibe. I'm assuming that you also play games. Um, I think there's a little space here for like a little filter sweep, some kind of transition effect, or something to hold or introduce interest here around 30 seconds. And I think that a few of these sections can be shortened up quite a bit because you don't actually have a whole lot to explore in each one of those sections, and you don't want them to drag on, and you don't want to get into this habit with your production where you're trying to um, make something work for a period of time simply because you made it that long, that period of time to begin with, right? Just kind of having an open mind of like, okay, how can I change this up here? And if this does feel like it's dragging or I haven't introduced something new for a little bit, what else can I do here? But I know that that's all fairly vague, so we're going to go through a couple of specific things here. 58 seconds, I think some kind of gating, or some kind of cool transition moment right there. And in regards to transitions and these little embellishments, it takes time. It takes time, and it takes practice in that time to get really comfortable with doing these things. So what I would really suggest is doing some short form exercises and challenges where you're really just doing that. Like you're just kind of playing with this idea of like going from this one chord progression into this different one, or just going from this bass to this other bass or something, and figuring out different ways to make your sounds move and just play, and don't feel like it has to be within the boundaries or confines of an entire song. Sometimes it's fun just to do like a little 4-bar exercise, right? Sometimes it's fun just to figure out how to end something. So anyway, just a couple of ideas of how to get more of that practice repetition in while you're still taking your journey seriously, right? And not like, producing 40 tracks in a day or something. All right, so 154. I think this needs some different changes here. We've been through this kind of cycle already before the top line section starts. So now you can start playing with little tricks like embellishments, like in reversals and stutters and resequencing, or shorten. Nice bit crush, by the way, in there. So one of the things that you can really do, and this goes for everyone, especially when they're first starting out, because I'm going to go ahead and assume that you don't program all of your synths, right? And even if you do, you couldn't possibly know all of the things that you could be adding modulation to get them to start to evolve and kind of develop a character and life force all their own. So that takes time as well. So this is where I would suggest spending a little bit of time to incorporate just naturally evolving and occurring interest. You don't have to constantly change things in your arrangement if your instruments themselves are going through some kind of change over time. And that's all modulation is change over time. So you can do a lot of this stuff through automation, and I have no idea what the capabilities and limitations are of your phone app, so some of this can't even be done on your phone, I'm sure. But the stuff that you can do. You just connect an LFO or an envelope to the filter cutoff knob and see what it does when you set it to run over an 8-bar period of time. Just see how it affects the sound. Maybe add a little bit of resonance on that filter, give it a little bit more interest as it's like disclosing and revealing things. And another thing is just volume mixing. Knowing that when you have something at a certain loudness in your track, it doesn't mean that it needs to stay there, and that you can have volume automation and make changes to that stuff over time. And the more that you do that, and the more willing you are to be adventurous with that, the more you're going to realize early and quickly the importance and power and potential of volume mixing. Loudness, the position of a sound in the mix, those are two of the most powerful and very simple things that you have in your bag of tricks right now. And also, it's hard to find good stopping points and know how to finish things. And so search for stopping points that you might not think of as you're listening through a track that you feel is fairly complete. Like at 428, that feels like a fairly good stopping point, actually, especially if it was kind of abrupt and there was just this tiny little whoosh kind of transition effect for it, right? And it would just like, people would be like, whoa, that was it. Oh, I want more. But sometimes that's a really cool place to leave people. So hopefully there's some good takeaways in there for you. And keep coming back. I'm glad you're here, and getting started on all of this stuff is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. 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 People are digging it. Nice, nice, nice. Nate, dude, if you're having a dizzy spell over there, man, drink some freaking water, sit down, take a break, chill out with us for a minute, man. You okay? Yeah, sip that. Acute, you are up. This one's called These Bells Ring for No One. Sounds kind of like an OhmLab synth in there. This is great. Like your palette is awesome. The theme is awesome. Like the palette is absolutely, um, just absolutely crushing this theme. It's awesome. And sound is so important that if all you have to do is give the proper amount of space and a couple of supporting elements to a synth that's so fantastical and, ear grabbing, attention grabbing, um, then you're doing something really well from a production standpoint because you're not throwing too many things at it. One thing that I would say is that there's too much of the overall loudness is coming from the use of compression and limiting. And if you were to back off of that and allow there to be more space in between each of the individual sounds for the entirety of the mix, not just in those more minimal moments, this would be even so much better. And it's already great. So I would recommend less compression and limiting, more volume mixing and saturation to help things stand out in more dramatic and immersive, engrossing ways. I would also encourage more upward expansion on those more stellar synths than downward expansion or downward compression, just to keep them all kind of expansive and awe-inspiring. And this little resonant whistle kind of synth in the background, it seems like it's got some low frequencies in there that you can cut out, and it does feel like there are a few elements in the mix where you could cut out a fair bit of the low frequencies of those sounds. And then I think that these moments where everything kind of builds up a little bit, though there would be less pressure. There would be less pressure on the listener's ears at that point. At 250, the synth, this lead is awesome, and I'm thinking that, and I was thinking this about a few of the synths, and that is you've got this one synth, the hero synth. We'll call it the stellar synth. It's got such great evolution. It's got really, really, really good stopping points, and there's so many modulation decisions in there that are allowing these accents to happen at just the right times with just the right elements. And I think that if you were to kind of play with modulation on some of the most basic parameters on the other synths, that you're going to find a lot of really cool happy accidents, and it's going to feel a little bit more organic. So if you were to put a very small, slow running LFO on, say, the decay of the ADSR of that lead synth at 250, for instance, there's going to be these tiny little differences in the delivery of the actual notes, the articulation. Some of them will be slightly elongated, right? Which just means that you're holding on for just a hair's breadth longer to get that next note, right? And others are going to be just a little bit shorter and choppier. It's going to make it a little bit more nimble to get around this one little angle or something. And stuff like that goes a million miles. So I know that these are super subtle adjustments that you would make, from a listener standpoint. But from the engineering standpoint, I think they would make profound leaps and bounds in the overall satisfaction. It's really, really, really good sound. Acute, really good stuff. Let's see what people are saying. Positron says good stuff. Everyone is loving this. Shadow Glitcher, I don't know. Let's take a look at the queue. No, I think we're going to close the queue. You can bring back another one next week, though, and I would absolutely encourage you to keep coming back every Friday. Boom. All right. So closing the queue. So everybody that's in will be heard. We're just gonna keep this moving on. Central One, who is an absolute production beast, says these synths are nice, and Chemtai is saying all sorts of stuff. Becky is dancing. Oh man. Central One is saying also, I went back in the VOD and heard what you had to say last week. I had to go midstream. Oh, good. Awesome. Nice to have the VODs. Yeah, very tasty. Central One is saying drums are a little bit weak. I changed the kick sample, bring the snare more up. They don't pop through the mix. Composition is perfect. Yeah, you know, acute. This is another thing though that could be addressed. Like, don't go too crazy, because if you do this, if you back off the compression and limiting and you use saturation instead, then that can really help kind of give a backbone to drums and really give them an edge. And you'd be surprised at just how much flavor and character is in a sound that you know can fall a little flat in a really robust mix. You'd be surprised what just the right amount of saturation can actually do. So give that a shot before you get like too crazy with that over there. Yeah, the punch. I think the punch can definitely come from the saturation. You can also use a little transient shaper if you're liking the tone and everything, right? Central One saying it's def not loud enough, but the sample itself probably just my personal taste. Although my mixing sucks, there's always someone better. Man, you humble beast. Hmm. Oh man, you guys are awesome. A production masterpiece. You are welcome, Acute. Thank you. Trem ties, dude, you are in the queue. Does this mean you're going to get Fridays with us, or is it all kind of wonky because you're on like 3 days on at a time and it's going to like, is it the same 3 days? Got questions. All right, so Tremtai says, so I've had the dream, or what you want to call it, for the longest time that I've been wanting to do more cinematic or even orchestral, but the orchestral stuff I have now sounds absolutely awful. Anyway, I worked on some ambient stuff for the first time in a good while, and I need to get more into sound design and filling the whole spectrum. Played a lot with distortion to make it all a bit more chaotic. This one's called Dark Ambient from Tremtais. Blackberry! Howdy, homie. How you doing? Trem. Sir Trem Ties. Can I just say that I am excited to hear more cinematic stuff from you, whether it be orchestral or not. This is awesome. I would love to hear so much more of like dark ambient stuff from you. I think you've probably got a rather excellent ear for all of it. I would say in this one, especially in that early intro bit where it's super minimal and we're really leaning in, the tension is being developed. I think that some well mixed delay into some reverb is going to make this very dimensional, right? It's going to add so much depth to it that you feel like you're in the middle of a space, really, while you're hearing all of this, develop and become thicker and thicker with tension. Sir Browser and Card Captor XP, welcome in. Happy Friday to you. So I would say leverage the atmosphere and the ambience and open it up. This distortion, by the way, feels awesome. At 216, I'm not sure if it's a second synth or a shifted delay, but it can come up. And I think that channel can also get a touch of overdrive for definition there, especially when it's isolated, when it's on its own after the other synth or guitar or whatever has dropped off. I think that like maybe even drive that overdrive at that moment, just kind of like be kind of cool. Yeah, just overall I really like it. I think the drums, the ones at 302, I think they especially like they want some more saturation, some verb, some deep, big, badass opportunity time. The other thing that I would say is that as you're playing with this more cinematic stuff, don't be shy with ornamental ear candy, right? And usually if you're going to have kind of like this dark thing, some well-placed rumbles that have a little bit of saturation on them, or tiny little fleeting ephemeral high frequency textures. They're always great because you're talking about the juxtaposition of these extremes. And then just kind of go a little bit more into the volume automation and make more of your linear volume changes, make them more concave or more convex to give them more immediate drama or more prolonged dramatic reveals. Anything that you can kind of do to set it off of the linear path is going to push it more in the feeling and direction of cinematic. So that's it. That's what I got for you, dude. Yo, Sir Browser, thank you. We are pretty chill here. What ads? Someone else said they got an ad like a couple of weeks ago. You guys aren't supposed to be getting ads from me. I don't know why they're there. Reminds you of Mr. Robot soundtrack a bit. Eerie feeling of it. Yeah, okay. I feel that. Yeah, there's absolutely some story lurking here, huh? Absolutely. Blackberry's saying, one thing I would recommend for people who are trying to go down the orchestral cinematic contemporary music is to go back and listen to a bunch of Led Zeppelin, the orchestral textures. Those guys are accomplished in terms of layering of parts and variation of the parts is truly amazing. Even 50 odd years later, how they filled out the sonic spectrum musically is great. Mini primer on how to approach orchestration. Boom. Sir Browser. All good. All good. Trem, it's good to hear you in the mix again. Kwame. All right, baby, let's do this. Got some chords? Yeah, you got some chords. You say it's rough, but it's feeling pretty good right now. Ooh, there you go. There you go. If you new folks that have just found your way here today can't tell, Kwame holds our hearts. Dude, there's a lot to love in this. There's a lot to love in this. Honestly, I think the thing right now is maybe just humanization. Like there are a couple of things that felt like, like a little bit of staggering or offsetting or swing or something would have added just like a little bit more, but dude, your chords, you've been out of lessons for a bit now, right? Your chords are great, but man, the sound selection, it's like so important, right? If it's not the right sounds, then the chords, this dreamy little synth really makes this whole thing. I mean, it's got a nice feel. The whole mix does. The arrangement is solid. But that synth really makes the whole thing. It's nice, man. It's pure jazz. And I think that the snare, like, I love the dry, and I want a little bit of like atmosphere from it too. Maybe like a little spray here and there where it's just kind of creamed out, or maybe just a little more in general. Maybe compare a couple options and see which one feels like it's going to reinforce the dreamy affect of that synth the most. But I don't really have a whole bunch for you on this one, man. I know it's still a work in progress. I'd say watch your lows, right? On the large majority of your mid-range instruments. Just make sure that you're wrangling your low end well. Yeah, and bring us more shit. This is good. This is good. Let's see what people are saying here. This clone is an improved, updated version. This one has modern chops. It's like Behringer. You know you shouldn't, but it's still good enough even though everybody says Behringer is bad and secretly everyone has their equipment. Okay, so Blackberry is saying, I'm curious how this would sound if the entire percussion section was moved forward by an eighth note. So that's, yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. It's like this, yeah, I think in this, from this track, I want a little more, I think that's what it is. I'm really liking, everything in this one. Central. You need him. Oh, shoot. All right, so Central and Kwame are making Sonic babies together, and we're going to have to deal with this, you guys. It's going to be hard. We're going to get through it together, though. Well, yeah, you know, the drums, it's not that they're holding it back. It's not that they're holding it back. It's that they're not, yeah, they're just not swung. I think that's really what it is. And yeah, the bass is a little bit muddy. That's what I mean. Just wrangle the low end on stuff in general, but don't touch, really don't touch much else. Absolutely. Hey, Neutron's good though, says Becky. Huh? Huh? Baby's up. All right. Baby Reg. Baby Reg says, I'm a funk producer. Excellent. Miami Posse. Write a check, man. Oh, I love that. That's awesome. That's great.
The practice is called sip and syrup.
Ooh, the slow fade. Look at it. It's gonna make you wonder. Okay, just one last thing to touch on from Blackberry on Kwame's track, the last one we listened to. He's saying, the music feels like it's being constricted by its need to conform to the hats, and that's why I thought about shifting it in eighth note. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling as well. That's what I'm feeling as well. So Purple's digging this one, and Baby Rage, you're in here saying you're a new producer. What does that mean? How long have you been doing this, and what are you producing on? What is your DAW of choice? That snare is crisp, says Tremtize. Drenched that poor dry snare, says Andremia. Becky says, I can't believe I still never been to the US. Well, I mean, you're seeing the best parts of it on Twitch, right? So, I mean. 2 to 3 months, huh? Okay. FL Studio. Okay. Okay. Yeah, funk is alive, right, Quirk? Yeah. Okay. Now Quirky's got a little buddy in the chat here, Baby Rage. You're coming up. So wait, hold on. Now, Baby Rage, you've been doing this. You said 2 to 3 months. And Quirky, how long have you been doing this? It's like just under a year, just over a year. You guys are coming up together here. This is great. And yes, funk is alive. All right. So here's a few little pro tips. Gave kind of similar feedback to Quirky in the very beginning, and that is your subs are going to hit no matter what. You got to roll up the bottom frequencies though, and by that I mean let's pull up an EQ really quick here. Why are you giving me the pinwheel logic? Come here, come here. Seriously though? Okay. So for your subs, it feels like they're pretty open right now, and they might look something like this or something like that. And I would suggest, and I know this is going to sound a little weird at first, but I'm going to suggest you bring them up. Bring them up to maybe something like here and see what you feel. You're in a genre, you're dwelling in a genre where like you don't have any like intense like rockets knocking down skyscrapers or anything, right? We don't need to feel that much of the sub bass. We do want it to rumble a bit in our belly, right? And we do want it to have its like chance to, you know, muddy some stuff up a bit. It's some funk, but we don't need the frequencies under this. And you might even be able to squeeze just a little bit more out. The more you can roll up and still be satisfied with what you're hearing, the more power and clarity the rest of your track will have. They're absolutely directly correlated. The next thing, vocals should be sitting on top a bit better, and they should pop. When everything else gets stripped away, they should be like, right there, even if they're being filtered and stuff, right? So saturation and less compression. The compression is actually compression reduces volume, right? So if you're never allowing the peaks to actually be heard, then it's going to be hard for the vocals to actually pop. So let those peaks actually, you know, reach their pinnacle, right? Their maximum potential, and toss some saturation on there. It doesn't have to be distortion, doesn't have to be muddy or grimy or anything like that. It can be perfectly clean overdrive with no real drive being added, right? No real grit being added. Target up high in the frequencies. It's going to generate extra harmonics, which is what makes sounds easier for us to hear in the mix. And that's going to help. That's going to help. And mix everything around the vocals instead of the bass. That's the big trick here, is that your bass is going to have all of that sub presence and everything anyway. It's just a matter of prioritizing things. The other thing is that the ambience is loud. And here's something to consider. Anything that's going to be generally kind of noisy, broad spectrum sound, that means there's a lot of frequencies in play. So which sounds is that affecting in your mix? It affects all of your sounds because it's got this huge spread of frequencies. So what you want to do is put a cap on that. Figure out what frequency range you want it to occupy and try and scoop it out of the middle and push it to the side. So that way your vocals are not competing with it, because a lot of the clarity of your vocals is being impacted by that ambience, and the other half of it is being impacted by the bass. So if we restrict the frequency range that both are operating in, all of a sudden it's going to get easier to hear your vocals. You're going to appreciate the changes and the filtration of your synths a bit more, because you're going to hear a lot more clarity. You're going to be making better decisions from a production standpoint, and you're going to start innovating because you're going to start hearing things that you haven't been hearing, homie. And then you're going to feel really good about what you're making. So let's roll back a bit in the chat and see what people are saying. Right. No, now the vocals don't need to be your main focus. They just have to be able to come through on different playback systems. That's really the thing. That's why they should be sitting on top of the other stuff. Totally get that the vocals are supposed to be, you know, affected with the funk. You just want it to be solid on different playback systems. Quirky's been doing this intensively 3 to 5 months. Okay, so you guys are kind of in the same neighborhood time-wise coming up in this. This is good. I'm Imaginate says open reverb, extra tail, and every fourth snare could be dope. Yes. Yes. I like that. That's a catchy little thing. Yeah, a tad less aggressive side chain. It depends. Let's see what it feels like after the frequencies are cleared up, because a lot of times we're all going to feel like the side chain, the ducking is at fault for something or out of whack or something. But really, like the timing feels off because it's responding to high peaks that we can't hear. There's nothing wrong with the compression and the sidechain timing and all of that most of the time. Usually, it's that the tool itself is responding to things that we can't hear, so we feel like the timing's off, right? Because the transient of the sound, according to your plugin, is the sub bass. Right. So that's why we need to manipulate these things. It's not that we don't like sub or anything like that. It's more just understanding how the tools function and how they take sounds in and you know, how they are triggered. And being in control of that is important when you're figuring it all out. Danny is also saying fourth snare tail verb followed by a reverse sample of the same verb to bring in the following bar could add some arrangement dynamic. Yes, absolutely. Some push, pull, some rise and fall. It's this consistent dynamic churn. It would feel good with the funk. It would. It would. Indremia is saying, I stand corrected. You literally don't hear the vocals in funk. I don't like it. No, I do actually kind of like the effect of constantly like dragging them under and manipulating them. When they do come up, though, you should be in control of what the peaks are. Becky is asking, wait, what genres have rockets and skyscrapers in it? Movies. Movies. That's drift funk right there. If a song has vocals in it, that is the first thing, primary thing, and sadly often the only thing someone initially responds to, and the entire song is judged about how it responds, reacts, and works with the music. When there are vocals, sadly, the music is secondary, so keep them prevalent. Yeah, it's pretty interesting exactly what kind of expectation shifts there are when different types of elements are introduced sonically in an arrangement, you know? Korg MS-20 with a high pass at 52 hertz, a small bump, and a simple sawtooth oscillator. Best bass I've ever heard in my life. There you go. There you go. Yeah, if you're not doing anything that needs to change a heartbeat or anything, roll it up. Central. Central saying, looking for male rapper and female R&B singer for this, so some sections are empty. Also, you may be pleased to hear there's no Lufs issues on this one. At least there shouldn't be. All right, this one's called Neo Soli Thingy. Dude, Central, this one's freaking ambitious, homie. I love where you're going with this. Roku's feeling it too. I can see it. You know? He's like, yeah, Central and Kwame, you guys got to do something together, right? Man. Yo, Keycrafter. Welcome in, Scott Buckley. Thank you for the raid, homie. Happy Friday. Hope you're doing well. How was your stream? What'd you do over there today? Yeah, just epic. Epic, Central. Every single freaking thing you bring in is epic. You know, if we ever do get the time and bandwidth and whatnot to form this community Twitch label that we've talked about, man, you're signed. It's just good. It's so ambitious. Like, you're reaching, and it's so good. I want just a little bit more, like, expression on just a couple of things, like a tiny bit more detail on some of the like little lines. But dude, this arrangement is so good. It's going to sound so ace with all the vocals. And now that you're dangling a collab with Kwame, I just want to know, what else are you going to put into this freaking album? This is so good. This is so good. Okay, at 402, I'm not even going to talk about all of the, oh man, these are all nice. This is good. This is good. This is good. 402, more of a reveal on those horns as they come in, perhaps. And then at 420, I would love it if we could get just a little bit more, like, even if it starts quiet and it outros quiet, if it like kind of swells up to a bit more presence at some point, I feel like, man, I'd be even more satisfied. That one was nice. That one's super nice. People are clapping and stuff. This is good stuff. Lots of feels. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. Central One saying it's my friend playing the guitar. Nice, nice. Scott working on some moody orchestral vibes today. Nice, nice. Blackberry's saying this track makes me think of the film noir television revival in the early 60s with shows like Peter Gunn. I do think that in a number of places, the percussion, especially the hi-hat, is just marking time and not really adding a lot to the underlying music. Maybe dropping the perks out for a couple of bars and then transitioning them back in might be more effective. Yeah, you know, or even offsetting their rotations. You know, I was just doing this with the rhythmic cues that you guys were watching earlier in the week, and that is like, you build a theme and then you go in and you say, all right, now how can I add a little bit of something unexpected in here and maybe incorporate a bit of the polyrhythmic, you know, appeal as well. And just offsetting something that you've created as a whole, taking one bar away from it, so as it cycles through, it's a little bit less predictable. Alternating between like a complementary versus a call and response kind of relationship, maybe between like two percussive instruments or something. There's so many different things you can do to shake it up. I love that Blackberry's reminiscent about the Peter Gunn era. Absolutely. Yeah, speaking of epic, right? Danny, you're wondering if you have enough time? Sure, homie, go for it. We're just about at the end of our queue here, and we have gone over, so let's just do it. Oh, hey, hold on a second. You guys, this is not fair. All right, so what you're telling me is that Central and Kwame Brown are going to collab and Roku is going to mix it down. You see Becky's response here in the chat? This is accurate. This is accurate. Yeah, Danny, you should drop something. Yeah, but you know what? Okay, so Central, this is one of those things though that this can be like an oil painting moment, right? Like think Bob Ross here. You could what can you do with a delay on that hat? Like if you were to toss like an eighth dotted on there, and just follow me here for a second, right? And what if you kind of like slowly moved between, like cross-faded between those at one point or something, like a very, very small embellishment or like change in expectations like that can really throw the whole thing. I don't know, just throwing out something a little weird. The CP already has like 7 collaborators, which is what I love about doing jazz projects. Always a lot of people to work with. Boom. Yeah, dude. Yeah, absolutely. And we get to listen. We get to listen. Oh, look at young Becky. Look at little Becky and Kermie. All right, this one is Becky. Let's see. Man. All right, let's see what she's up to. No idea what to call this. That's a banger right there. Who's Becky? She does Boston House, mostly. Yeah, you gotta love a good Becky whip. she's out. Man, this kick perk too. The perks in general, the hats are nice. Loving that little offbeat hat. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. That first transition, 47 with the bass coming in, that's great. I kind of want to double up on the transition effect there, though. I'm kind of feeling the same on this last at 430. Like, I want a bigger transition. Want some kind of a showstopper. 113, maybe a tiny little kind of a top line fill on top of that. What was it? Was it just the kick? I can't remember now, but it was great. That drum fill right there. And not a cowbell, but cowbell frequency, right? Like something that could be either metallic or tonal. It could even be like a wood blockish. Yeah. Man, the space at 220, the atmosphere that you're developing is great. I would love to hear a little suck back leading into that drop. It's really nice and tight, and then boom, just like expansive. You could even you could do like a little A/B test, drop in a really subtle sub drop right there at the point of impact where that suck back is happening, and feel if like, does it feel more intense if you've actually got some kind of pitch bending down as you go into this atmosphere, or is it more jarring and impactful just to drop into that space? The other thing that you can do with a moment like this, and this will sound a little bit weird at first, but you can use two different reverbs kind of detuned from one another to create like artificially more like three-dimensional depth there. And then if you saturate it, when you go into these moments, people will wonder like, how the hell is the space so big and what just happened in this mix? It's a really nice moment. I really like that space there. 245, the way that this modulation is happening, I feel like if you had a very subtle LFO curve that is modulating that modulator, so you get a tiny little skip in the delivery as this mix is coming back in, or as this synth is coming back into the mix, I think that it would be a really cool way to do it, because it would kind of fall out of sync at a certain point, and you could do a hard cut and then boom, like with the bass. Yeah, I can just hear it. I can hear it. I think it'd be really awesome. Some more saturation on that vocal chop, I think would be awesome too. Help it stand up a bit. As I mentioned, I really like the offbeat hat. And in that bigger transition at 430, some kind of unexpected cut or sudden gate or stutter, something different, something kind of similar to like what might occur when you're kind of stumbling through the modulation, if another modulator is kind of introduced and kind of causing that to kind of trip up a little bit. Maybe something kind of unexpected like that would be cool. About 245, subtle LFO. Okay, so yeah, so here, we'll just show you something really quick. We'll, so modulators modulating modulators. So let's say that you've got this shape, and it is what is causing your rhythmic gating there. And I'll just toss in one of my curves here to save a little bit of time. Let's say that it's like this or something, right? And this is what is actually, controlling that rhythm, right? So what you could do then is take another LFO and affect the position of the first range of LFO. So let's say that we've got this on the volume of this synth, right? Boom. And we're going to find a good rate. Instead of allowing it to be like locked to a quarter note, you find that. And the easiest way to do that is just to record a little bit, like put like a little bar and loop it, find your timing, open up the patch again, and turn off the BPM and the anchor and sync it up to that point, okay, until you find your lock, right? They're in the same time. Now you can add a second LFO and you can start to mess with that just a little bit, just a tiny bit. You know, maybe it's just this tiny little amount, and maybe it's rolling it like a, you know, you put this into like a dotted, so like over the course of 3 bars or something like that, it's going to trip up the timing. And so it's going to add like this kind of shuffle, this unexpected timing shift in that modulation, because there's going to be this very small deviation. And at first the listener's going to be like, wait, what? And then all of a sudden some kind of change up is going to happen. And then you can go like a hard cut or something like that. They're really impressive when you pull them off correctly. Moduception. If we were actually in school together, we would have spent a couple of days of modulating modulators just as a topic. Danny is saying, love the atmosphere on this one. Would love to hear more movement in the bass, maybe some octave climbs. Yeah. Gotcha. Yep, you can do it. You can still do it in a sampler. Absolutely. All right, let's wrap up all this stuff. We've got, I think, just a couple more. Roku's here. Man, why? Well, Siri, I think I've even gone into her little dictionary and told her, stop autocorrecting Rokusai. All right, Roku's saying, decided to share an oldie of me and a friend of mine. It never got signed, so we gave it out for free. Bear in mind, this is 13 years old. If I could have had all the stems still, I would have given this a revisit. Enjoy. Ooh, Gouda. I mean, who doesn't like Gouda? Come on. Dropbox. You guys tell me if the audio's good. Nice. Becky. Because everyone loves Gouda, right? Right. Sir Browser, dude, you are up. Let's do this. Roku from 13 years ago, solid. Roku from right now, thank you. Appreciate you, brother. This one's called Runaway, and it's from Browser.
The old malicious browser. Yeah. All right. Browser, this is pretty good.
There's some humanization that I'd love to hear in this, right? Like the synth is a little on the grid. It's a little bit too predictable, I feel. And if you were to add some some variety or some variation to the way that it's being delivered, I think it would come across as a lot more organic and kind of soulful. And I'd like some saturation and tighter EQ on the verb, and maybe just some finishing compression to kind of pull all of that together and seal it just a little bit more. I think it would do wonders for the depth and atmosphere. And man, this wonky synth, it's got some really great tune, like detuned character. It's pretty great. The breathing, I think, might be my favorite part of this track, though. Yeah, you humanize more now. Cool. Becky, antiviral. Oh my goodness, this came from Heidi. Of course it came from Heidi. Oh my God. Antiviral. Oh, holy hell, I need to write this one down too. Whew. And Tremia says, that scream makes me think of the hacker scene where Dave pictures homicidal imagery towards K. Oh, look, he found the pool. Oh, man. The compression on the master, you mean? Yeah, so yeah, the finishing compression that's kind of gluing the stuff together, I think. Well, I think a couple things. One, that the I guess I'm thinking a couple of things about this, really. First, EQing the reverb, and then adding a little saturation after that reverb, I think is going to help kind of give more pronounced presence to the reverb overall. But then with that glue compression at the very end of your mix, where you're just kind of gently tapping down small peaks and introducing just a little bit of gain, I think that that's really what's going to bring the atmosphere kind of up into the mix, right? Instead of kind of sitting around it. Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah, right. Ending with the dark imagery, right? All right, this last one is from Danny. Imaginate. This should be a treat. This is brand new stuff. Unnamed, 125 BPM. Super whip. Immediate start warning, by the way. Tremtize is asking a question about that compression on the master, by the way. Would you say rendering the mix and then pulling that in and adding the master compression, or just add the compression to the master channel? This is a small amount of compression, and it's not meant to be used as an effect. It's supposed to be used as a utility, like a functional utility in this situation. So usually if you're going to layer in compression, that is going to be used as more of an effect, right? Like New York compression or something where you've really driven something into the wall, and you're just like taking just those gritty bits and you're like just introducing that stuff to the mix. But this is more of a glue application where it's simply kind of taking just a little bit of the top and a little bit of the bottom and moving them closer together. Not squishing a whole bunch of the overall image, but just a bit. What did you eat, Becky? Sir Browser, yeah, it was good having you here. Absolutely come back for more. Yo, has anyone ever paralleled the master? Yep. Yep. All right, this one's Danny. Dude, you're amazing. You're awesome. 110, little simple hit on that offbeat, like maybe a backhand China, like a. 143. I'm really hoping that these strings end up being like super dramatic, lots of expression, big surging energy. At 249, would it be way out of line if you had like a coming back in, or would that be too much? Is that like too over the top? I don't know. One of the, this might seem a little geeky, but I'm a freaking geek. I'm really excited to hear the volume mixing decisions you make on this one. Working out getting an actual orchestra to perform the string feature sections. Nice, 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 nice. This is good. Drummy is saying drums could have a bit more punch. I think in Drummy everything will have a bit more punch because this has probably just been started. It usually takes Danny a minute to work through all of the everythings just to get it absolutely perfect. And then there's several passes on the mixing. Very much detail-oriented producer here. Becky. Yeah, loads to go for sure. Yeah. Dude, this is good. I'm so glad I got to hear something, like a sneak peek something. This is good. We will definitely catch up soon, and we will have you on the show before your next thing drops, so everybody gets a chance to hear it, see you, hear from you what it's all about, all that kind of stuff. You guys, we've gone over by about an hour, and I want to go raid someone, so let's see who's up. Anybody got a request before I start clicking buttons here? Because y'all are awesome. Might as well go somewhere you like, right? Let's see who's up. You guys brought a lot of heat today. There's a lot of really, really, really good stuff. I mean, I'm not surprised. Every single Friday is awesome, but come on, seriously. All right, let's see what kind of suggestions we got here. Bonfire tonight. Nice, nice, nice. Liv is on and Orchestraria is on. Okay. Oh, I don't see her. Hold on a second. There you go. All right, we're going to go say hi to Liv. I appreciate each and every single one of you. You've got over a week to work on your community challenge entry. If you're subscribed to this channel, go grab your 2 free sound packs this month, Mod Bits 1 and 2, and have a damn fine weekend. Stay inspired and make something really freaking awesome. And come with me now as we go say hi to Liv. Bye.